That's bogus, but I don't tell her what's what. Don't wanna be stuck, cause she's so starstruck. Wanna be around us, but I just gotta play the field, gotta keep it real, gotta take you out, gotta tell you how I feel. To show you that this game is for real, cause I know that you're looking for a star. Just wait to find a man, hanging at the bar, champagne, every night. You never seen a man like this. You never seen a man like this. Girl, you never seen a man like this. You never seen a man like this. Girl, you never seen a man like this. So pretty, you spend seconds, hours, minutes working on your fitness for a nigga to witness. Go pretty, I ain't tripping. You ain't the baddest bitch I've ever met. The homie said he already be in the backseat behind the Jeep. So the shit you can really keep it so. The bitch niggas and told on. See them boys that chasing that a lot more than just told on. Niggas know the pan when they feel the heat that's stole on them. Send the hell the Lord don't want them. When these girls in church trying to go in. Saturday they was up going. Show me your work and your phone. Show me your match. Nah, nigga, I'll face mine. Now my mind don't hang time. That's every shit on the baseline. Know that you're looking for a star. Just wait to find a man. Hanging at the bar, champagne, you never seen a man like this.
Niggas in the room wanna see my cars on flatbed. Hey, this is a recession, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling suicide one bionic glue. And got Superman powers with them stress new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. Yeah. John Dillinger shit. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. Yeah. John Dillinger shit. Niggas in the hood wanna see my cars on flatbed. Hey, this is a recession, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling suicide one bionic glue. And got Superman powers when them stress new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga.
Greetings. We're back. Round two. I don't know what the hell happened. We got disconnected. So we got to redo it all over again. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Front Line Blacc News. I'm your host, Chan Crewman. I'm doing my other host, Lady Chase. She's somewhere there in the background. And on this afternoon's episode of the Front Line Blacc News, we were discussing the topics we didn't get to last night, which are the Gullah Geechee land is under siege in South Carolina update, and Georgia apparently. Define woke, what it is and what it's not. You know, we got the panties in Florida, and the hell with the Miami Dolphins.
Oh yeah, they need to put
eat shit and die.
They need to put the panties asses in jail.
And yeah, that was just beyond embarrassing. So he has this war on woke, so we're gonna break that down. And then we got our brother OZONE, Othal Wallace, verdict in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then we got our Unhoused Neighbor News and our Unhoused Neighbor Sweets. And then we are joined as well with our West Coast correspondent, Shabaka Sankori, Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, which I'm the co-executive producer of and co-host of. And we are simulcasting on the Arena Uncensored, which is our good friend Black Sun's YouTube channel, his Facebook page, his YouTube channel, MD, who's a big Trumpster, his YouTube channel, MD 2020, and Blacks in Politics, Brother Ron, otherwise known as the Conscious Moron. So,
all right.
Greetings from the Mile High Income City. How is the Sin City treating you?
Oh, well, you know, Sin City is Sin City. It is what it is. People driving crazy. Half of them are drunk. You know what I'm saying? No type of couth out on the highway. People cut off in front of you. You know, we are, starting to get the break in the temperatures because looking at here on my laptop, it's 82 degrees today and it's sunny. And
only
then, of course,
82?
as we do know, summer is over. We're about the third day of fall, and as we all know, that on the solar plane, we've had the autumnal equinox, which is the first day of fall, and then we'll be going into the winter solstice for about 3 months, and then of course, as you do know, that the winter solstice is actually the summer solstice for Azania. For those down there in Azania, their winters happen in the summers here, and the summers there coincide with the winters here. So definitely, a shout out there to those in Azania's good had. Okay, this been having these transgender men to pose
Shabaka, they started it with the Carolina Panthers a couple of years back.
Okay, now that did you have to start with that? Did you have to start as Niners over them? These adjustability consent about these confused ass dudes, man. Going out here, man, and that there's a disrespect to womanhood, as a whole, in my opinion.
I agree, Shabaka.
No, it really is. It's because these men are confused A lot of them have been victims of abuse themselves, neglect, combination of all of the above, then some. Okay, but to sit up there, you know, and say that these individuals are women, you know, that doesn't compute. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't. That's it. That doesn't. And that there's a huge, huge, huge insult to them. And I'm talking about unified women. They say,
Yeah.
You got these confused individuals, you know what I'm saying, coming out there, you know, trying to push this jump. You see?
Yeah.
And like I said all along, they got their human rights, they have their civil rights, but no. They ain't got no right coming up, you know, to heterosexual.
Yeah, well, like we said yesterday, Shabaka, trans women are not fucking women. Trans men are not fucking men. Get that through your sick, demented fucking skulls.
Oh yeah, and then before they go up there and make comments that we're homophobic, let it be known that these individuals are heterophobic.
Yeah, I added to the bet.
Oh my God, she doubled the wager.
I doubled the wager because I doubled it. I couldn't help it. I doubled it, and I could recap that over there, but we should move on with the show. But I suggest you watch the last little bit of last night's show because I put out a $200 wager, which my recollection was 100. We had 100, and they could it was 100 up, but if they lost, that pays $1,000, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I put 200 up.
So that's $2,000.
So that's $2,000 now. My question is very simple, and we get our answer very quickly. If old boy accepts the wager, and my thing was, shit, make me a believer. Shit, show me a trans woman that's a woman.
Yeah.
Show me. Go find your weapon. Present it. You got between 15 to 35 days to show me that is a woman. Because anybody who's been with a woman or around a woman, came from a woman, has women in their family, would know anywhere between 15 to 35 motherfucking days. Some woman shit's gonna happen that only happens to women. It's a whole thing. So anytime, make me a believer. Show me. I went in. I mean, like, I really fucking went in. It was like, look, I don't give a fuck what you do. Your little shit that they made. First of all, you gotta have something in it to keep it open. We ain't gotta do all that. You ain't got no snatch back. You don't got no grip. You don't got no grab. I don't give a fuck what you say. Right? You're not gonna have no birth canal. I don't care what kind of fucking morbid shit they put in you. But show me. Make me a believer. You know, because men are certain gay men got the audacity to tell us what women are. You know, actual women. So yeah, show me. Shit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed the memo. And we got, you know, some alien shit, some, you know, garbage pail kid type shit, you know, that I missed. And, you know, in my 43 years of actually being a female, able to, you know, produce a life or two or three and have a few, you know, meet the, you know, the ancestors a little early. That, you know, maybe I missed something in 43 years. I missed the memo or some shit. Or when I, you know, my eyes don't work. So when a baby does come out, I can't look at it and see that there's a whole defining factor of what separates from another. And it's usually a male, right, that has a whole little, you know, twig and berry situation. You got to actually, you know, put something over. You might get sprayed in the eye. Cover that guy up. You know, he just shooting his rocket off. Peeing in your face. That's the defining factor. That's a boy. You know what I mean? Versus a little girl.
Right.
Boy. Girl. Boy. Girl, it's real clear. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science. You know how everybody thinks I'm stupid and all, like I don't know how to read or nothing. But I'm just saying, I can clearly tell the difference. If there's only two, boy, girl, they come in the world that way.
Yeah.
So make me a believer. I'll go find that $200 real quick. They're gonna owe us $2,000. The front line can release that $2,000. Right. Now I would suggest you keep talking all that shit. Put your money where your motherfucking mouth is. I'm telling you, bring it. It's not gonna be a problem for us to find $200 at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. That's how serious I am about it. Because I was so tired.
And it's just downright ludicrous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then even
hold on,
more
Shabaka. I gotta get us started. We're never gonna get to the show.
Yeah.
So
okay.
The first topic is the Gullah Geechee. As we covered on a previous episode, we were talking about the sister Josephine Baker, the great grandmother in South Carolina, who is having all-out war with developers who are trying to take her land, which is Gullah Geechee land. And on the last video before they cut us off, I was given the history of the Gullah Geechee people. So I'm going to play this video.
All right.
Shout out to our brother Marcel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I know very little of this. Okay, so I'm learning something.
Okay, so the first video is about the folks, meaning crackers, white people, crackers, developers, trying to take over Gullah Geechee land and forcing the residents, the owners off the land to leave the land.
Rightful owners.
Civil War land, right? And then the second video is the history of the Gullah Geechee.
Okay.
I got it.
Commissioners in McIntosh County in Georgia decided to loosen laws that help protect Gullah Geechee land. Now, this particular Gullah Geechee land is on Sapelo Island, also known as Hog Hammock. There's about 30 to 50 Black residents there. Now, the island is really tiny. It is about 65 miles over there. It's going to allow people to build bigger houses. Before, they can only build about a 1,400 square foot home. And now they're saying, well, we'll allow you to build a 3,000 square foot home. And their reasoning is, well, people need more space for a family, right? They need to all be under one roof. And so the residents of that particular Gullah Geechee land, of course, are Black. And they're like, wait a minute. You all are encroaching upon our land. It belongs to us. Now, Gullah Geechee lands, if you will, have been around since the end of the Civil War. And those particular communities, they are isolated usually, and they adhere to African traditions that are not so much on, other lands within the United States, if you will. And so they're also saying that white people, let's keep it a buck, they want to go over there and get another vacation home or build there because, again, it's very isolated, and I'm sure it's tropical as well. And they don't care about the history of the land there. Now, some of the county commissioner, one who is Black, who voted against loosening the laws, he says, well, part of the problem, too, is that some of the Black families, they sell the land. And when you sell the land, of course, the white people who want to come on over there, they're going to buy it, and they don't care about the history. So he says, stop selling the land, for one. But some of the Black residents there are saying, well, what happens is, and we know what happens with gentrification, when the people that got money and they build these bigger homes and stuff, that affects property taxes and cost of living and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it makes it harder for them to stay. So a lot of times they have to sell their land to survive. Well, that there is another reason why we as Black people here in the United States need our reparations check, so that we can pay whatever amount of money we need to keep our land, because these devil politicians, they don't care. Now they're saying there, in McIntosh County, it's not about money, and we don't want to see the land go away. It is about money. Right. It's about appeasing white people, because it says that McIntosh County is about 11,000 residents, and 65% of them are now white. So it's gentrification at its finest going on, but those particular lands should be preserved at all costs. But back to what I was saying about our reparations, run us our money. Right. That way We could,
That's
take
right,
care of our
Demetri,
own stuff. And along with the money, we want some land too. We want y'all to keep your hands and your feet and everything else away from our community.
Right.
If that's all right with y'all. So y'all tell me what you think of that. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetri K Show, here on YouTube. Peace.
Peace.
Okay, well, sister, first place she needs to subscribe to Front Line Blacc News, and she also needs to subscribe to the platform Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Now, on this right here, I agree with what she is saying, is because, as we all know, land is a factor of production. You have 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and risk management, which is entrepreneurs' fancy grade.
What up, Cuzzo? Youngest tapping in.
Okay, greetings there to you, brother Younger. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is acquire all the land, man, and then put our own damn military, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Period. Because, see, this is all where this stuff is going to. Okay? It's because we have a right for our self-determination. We have a right to exist, and we have a right to survive. Okay? Everything else did not work. Okay? And we have to be real about it. Sad news. It didn't work. You say. So what are we going to do? Keep banging our head against the wall, man, expecting a different result? That's insanity.
Right.
Okay? And then also to Pianki, go fuck yourself. Joe Gibson, kiss my ass as well too.
Right.
Sarge, is always a pleasure having you. Yeah, Shabaka Sankori said that on his own accord. And Pianki, I'm putting that out there. You're a brain dead, ass scratching house Negro. And a very, very sad part of research that I did, sir, on researching Kemet from Committee in History, is that Shabak and Pianki were brothers, and that's sad news. Yeah. Very, very sad news. Okay, now by all means, preserve the land right there. I am gonna have to do further research and study, on those islands off the coast of the Carolinas, off of Georgia, I believe, and I believe off of North Carolina as well too. That they have these islands at, and from what I understand is that a lot of these islands were runaway slaves that went there, and they had established homes there. They had established a way of life there, holding on to traditional values from the continent. But like I said, I have to do more research on that. Hola means that you are a descendant of West Africans.
Yeah, so this next video is giving the whole history. But before we get to that, Lady Shay, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm really with Demetri K. Like, run that bag, fuck off the land, let the Gullah Geechee buy their shit, keep their shit. It's always all about the money. It ain't never about the fucking well-being. You just feel like you can take it because you got the bread, and then show it in their face. So yeah, let run that bag so they can get their land, keep their land, and don't fuck off because you think that whatever the fuck you're hearing about this money, always go get a 3rd, 4th, and 5th opinion from other motherfuckers that are outside of the area that'll tell you the actual truth of the value of whatever you're looking at. So you don't get fucking bamboozled like what happened with Bruce's Beach and shit.
Yeah,
that was a total fumble right there. And so every time now, motherfuckers are gonna look at us like we're gonna make the same mistakes as Bruce's Beach people did, because they was on some old Greek ignorant shit. I mean, really, if they would just went outside of their area, if I was somebody to really check their money out on what they make, average and all that other shit, they would found out they took that bag a little early. They asked for a little less, and they gave it right back.
So, but they had to give it right back. They couldn't do nothing with the land. That's my issue with the land. You want land, but if you can't cultivate it, you can't make a profit off of it. What good is having land?
I was just me. Like, this is a beach. Like, they're even making profit off of it. that whole fucking time.
They gave it back because they couldn't do nothing with it. Because the charter and whatever municipality, the building charter wouldn't allow it.
That's what they say. But I'm telling you, because if you just dug a little deeper outside of it and brought us other people, they would have been able to look at it differently. You're listening to what the city wants, what the city people are telling you, and the city people's recommendations. And so it's like a programming. Yeah, well, they said, so I think since we can't, they told us we can't, so we can't. You know what I mean? And that was simply not true. I showed it on the RVA. They lost millions of money. Millions. That's the biggest duck move ever. I showed it on the RVA. The stupidest move ever they did. The family did. Because they don't live there. They couldn't move there. They didn't want to. They just wanted to take a little bag, go on about their way.
They wanted to build a house on the property.
They could have.
Couldn't.
If you own the land.
No. Just because you own, that's the thing about owning land.
Just trust me, man.
Just because you own the land, don't mean that you.
Because
just because you own the land, don't mean that you own the rights to the land.
Jesse,
and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Jesse,
like
Jesse,
you want
Jesse,
land, but what point
really
of good is it having land? If you
can
have,
argue it all you want, but the facts are when I showed it on the RVA, they fucked up.
Okay,
they could have did a whole bunch of different shit. There was options. Real options they could have had. I showed it on the RV, run that track back.
Okay.
They really did. They fucked up because you want to listen to this and this and this, but you don't want to think outside the box.
Okay.
You just want to think what it's told
you.
So
what were they supposed to do with the land?
Doesn't matter now. You're right, I'm wrong. But either way, they fucked up. I wouldn't make that mistake ever. I wouldn't make that mistake. I wouldn't trust anything that the same city that took this shit in the first place wants to show face and give it back, only to fuck you into selling it to them again. I wouldn't trust the motherfucking thing they said. Off top, and I'd ask all kind of different questions. Matter of fact, I go way outside the box, pick a whole nother motherfucker, do some reviews, look up some shit, bring that in, and then have it look at it. Well, look, looks like you getting fucked over here, and over here. I wouldn't take this offer. That's what I would do. But that's what I would do with the city too. That we live in, cuz. You know what I mean? Look at all the shit that they're doing. It's the same thing. And just because they say you can't doesn't mean that you can't. It's they don't want to. So they'll tell you they don't want you to by saying you can't do it.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Just think outside the box. Have a little imagination. Go for it. Fuck it. What is the worst thing?
I'm a realist, because like
that
imagination has nothing to do with reality,
because
like it's literally fantasy. Because like if I wanted to think about imagination, I'll be on some Wakanda Forever shit.
No, you're right.
That shit don't exist.
Look at it's that thinking right there that's kept us suppressed and oppressed.
That shit don't exist.
It's that kind of thinking right there that's kept us suppressed, bro.
It doesn't exist, though.
Oh, you're right. No,
it's literally Hollywood fiction.
Because it's that kind of thinking that keeps everybody outside the box.
Okay, so what were they supposed to do with the land?
Doesn't matter, man. Move on. In my opinion, outside thinking.
Yeah, that's Lady Chay's opinion. It doesn't mean it's right, but that's her opinion.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's an opinion, baby.
So before we got off on a tangent about Brewster's Beach, I was going to play this video about the history of the Gullah Geechee people. So I'm going to play that right now.
I like their history.
You are a descendant of West Africans who were enslaved now all the way down to Florida, but primarily North South Carolina Sea Islands. They were brought from the coast of West Africa to the Low Country and enslaved in order to do the labor of the plantations that helped to build America.
The blending of all of those cultures that came together during the transatlantic slave trade, they gave birth to this culture called Gullah.
Gullah is the most authentic African culture in America. We think Gullah came from the word Gola. The Gullah tribe were rice-growing people in West Africa, and they were brought over to develop rice fields.
One of the major reasons why we were selected in the west coast of Africa, especially those rice-producing countries like Sierra Leone, Senegal.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about a fascinating cultural group that you may not have heard of, the Gullah Geechee people They are
You
a
still
unique
see us,
African
Shabaka?
American community that has a rich
Yeah, I'm
history,
still here.
culture, and language.
Can you
Let's
see
dive
the
in.
video?
The Gullah Geechee people are descendants of
Yeah.
Africans who were enslaved on the rice and Sea Island cotton plantations of the lower Atlantic coast. The Gullahs are primarily differentiated from other descendants of enslaved Africans by their preservation of traditional West African practices and by their unique Creole language, facilitated by their relative isolation. A further distinction is commonly made within this ethnic group in the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor between the Gullah, who are found in the South Carolina Low Country, and the Geechee, who reside in coastal Georgia and northeastern coastal Florida. The Gullah people are descended from enslaved West Africans who were abducted from what is now Senegal, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Angola. Many of those enslaved Africans were transported to the West Indies to be seasoned before being taken onward to the port of Charleston, South Carolina,
Hold on,
where
Shabaka,
they
I
were
gotta get
subsequently
this
sold to
video.
plantation owners. The owners exploited the rare agricultural knowledge of these enslaved individuals by forcing most of them to work in rice fields along the coast. Other enslaved individuals farmed cotton, which, like rice, was native to their homelands, and indigo, which was found in parts of Africa. Enslaved farmers built complex systems of irrigation and dams, transforming as much as 236,000 acres of untouched land into about 120,000 acres of tidal rice fields and roughly 116,000 acres of inland rice fields. This development will eventually turn the region into one of the most productive and profitable in the antebellum South. The enslaved population in the region continued to grow even after the United States outlawed the importation of enslaved Africans in 1808. The ancestors of the Gullah Geechee people brought to this country a rich heritage of African cultural traditions in art, foodways, and music. Today's Gullah Geechee arts and crafts are the result of products designed by their ancestors out of necessity for daily living, such as making cast net for fishing, basket weaving for agriculture, and textile arts for clothing and warmth. Deeply rooted in music traditions brought to the Americas by enslaved Africans, their music evolved out of the conditions of slavery that characterized their lives. The influence and evolution of musical forms that arose out of Gala music can be heard in many musical genres, such as spirituals and gospel music, ragtime, rhythm and blues, soul, hip hop, and jazz. Religion and spirituality have a sustaining role in Gala family and community life. Enslaved Africans were exposed to Christian religious practices in a number of ways and incorporated elements that were meaningful to them into their African-rooted system of beliefs. These values included belief in a God, community above individuality, respect for elders, kinship bonds, and ancestors' respect for nature, and honoring the continuity of life and the afterlife. Low country plantations frequently had a praise house or small structure where slaves could meet for religious services. The Gala language, typically referred to as Geechee in Georgia, is technically known as an English-based Creole language, created when peoples from diverse backgrounds find themselves thrown together and must communicate. Through research, it has also been found that there is in particular a strong connection between the Gala language and the Creole language spoken in Sierra Leone. This is the native
Shut up,
language of the
Shabaka.
Creoles, the descendants of the slave, but it is also their national language.
Yeah. You better hope the Steelers don't do that to y'all tonight.
The word Gala is thought to be derived from Angola, as many slaves
I told you that,
from
Shabaka. That's
Africa,
old news.
Angola, a tribe on the Sierra Leone-Liberian border. This is the Gala language.
You know what would be great news, Shabaka? If the Raiders get a transgender cheerleader, that would be awesome news.
Sir, that there be an insult, man, to Black history as a whole.
Just like that.
I'm just glad it wasn't a record.
Of course, because I didn't America English now. First language.
Traditional Gala Geechee diet consisted of items available locally such as vegetable, fruit, game, seafood, livestock, items imported from Europe, items imported from Africa during the slave trade, okra, rice, yams, peas, hot peppers, peanuts, sesame, bene, seed, sucum, and watermelon. and food introduced by Native Americans, such as corn, squash, tomatoes, and berries. Rice became a staple crop for both Gullah Geechee people and white in the southeastern coastal region. Making use of available food, making a little go a long way, supplementing with fish and game. Leftovers from butchering and communal stews shared with neighbors were African cultural practices. African cooking method and seasonings were also applied in Gullah Geechee homes and plantation kitchens. Because plantation cooks were primarily enslaved women, much of the food today referred to as Southern comes from the creativity and labor of enslaved cooks. Despite facing discrimination and marginalization, the Gullah Geechee people have maintained their culture and heritage. In recent years, there have been efforts to preserve and celebrate their culture, including the establishment of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, a national heritage area designated by the U.S. Congress in 2006. This corridor stretches from Wilmington, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, and includes historic sites, cultural centers, and museums that showcase Gullah Geechee culture. The Gullah Geechee people are a unique and fascinating cultural group that has had a significant impact on the history, culture, and heritage of the southeastern United States. Their music, language, and cuisine are all part of their rich cultural identity, and efforts to preserve and celebrate their heritage are ongoing. We hope you enjoyed learning about the Gullah Geechee people today. Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to us for more videos like this. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.
And what you cats got to do is like and to subscribe. Front Line Blacc News and
All right, it's about that.
okay, that a lot of the culture was preserved. But based on what I was seeing, I also could see contaminants have gotten off into the culture.
they
Well, of
do be on
course,
that
you know, that
bullshit,
deals
yeah.
with the transatlantic slave trade was about. But it's very, very good that they did hold on to the core of the African culture there, you see. And the cold part about it is that this is the type of information, you know, that the transvestite of Florida does not want our youth to learn about.
Fuck Florida.
So that's what I'll be referring to him as the transvestite of Florida. You know, the panties, you know, he's a man that wears women's underwear.
Yeah.
So I will be referring to him as the transvestite of Florida. And then, of course, you know, the dump as in human shit. And I want to make both of these statements perfectly clear to quote another crook. Okay. And, but it's very, very interesting, and our young people need to have of where they come from, you know, so this here would stop us, you know, for the path of self-destruction that we're going on. Let's say killing each other and stuff like that. And, so I learned a little bit of something there, going through there through Florida when I did, you know. Although I think what was that? I know I went through Pensacola, and I know I went through St. Petersburg. I know that, and then I guess the waterway that I saw down there was the Gulf of Mexico. You know what I mean? So a lot of our people, you know, got disembarked on there as well too. And then also too, you know, like some individuals out there who like to deny their African heritage, talking about that we was already here. But it's quite obvious, particularly when you go through Oakland, parts of Los Angeles, of how the characteristics, physical and what have you, that you would see of our people to, you know, to those who are
the
from the
phenotype
continent.
is the same, but that's the difference about it. It's not based off a phenotype. It's based off a lineage. We've been here for 500 years. Like, we are our own ethnic group within the whole diaspora. And like I said numerous times, this whole Pan-African thing was started by foundational Black Americans, descendants of American chattel slavery. It's not being reciprocated.
Okay.
And they're not letting in the Garbies. They're not letting in the Kwame Tourés. They're not letting in
Right.
the Thomas Sankors. They're not letting them in through immigration.
Right.
That's not who they're letting in through immigration.
Correct.
They're letting in tethers and coons from these foreign nations.
Okay, pretty much. Yeah. So once again, this is how deep, Brother Che, to support your premise even further, so of how deep this thing really is. Because if they going in to that deep, you know, to create the division on the continent and here in the diaspora, is definitely some European fingerprints on these Negroes' minds. And just like you said, the new movie that's out called Coon, starring the majority of these niggas. Those individuals I've just mentioned, you know, would be like in your starring roles, you know. But, you know, we are slowly coming about getting this knowledge and what have you. But you got too many puppet masters out there. You got too many of them willing, you know, to be on strings. But attention that came to me that Snoop Dogg had a crumb bomb on Donald Duck Trump and some of his supporters. Okay. And I believe Brother Paris out there was off in a news break. You know, relatives sent me a link to it.
Well, if you could send that link to me, that would be great. But we need to hear from Lady Che, and then we got to move on to the next topic. Lady Che, what are your thoughts on the history of other people?
I think it's tight. It's tight and whatever's left, whatever they can keep, and whatever they manage to preserve language-wise, and with their customs, I think that shit shouldn't be fucked with at all. And you know, sadly, European shit need to stay away from it. I mean, let them be. Let them be. Give them their money and let them be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Give them their money and stop fucking with their land.
Right,
leave their fucking land alone.
Exactly.
And if they want to represent, they want to live their lives that way, and not only that, but they are who they are. Just leave them alone. Just give them their shit and leave them the fuck alone. They've been doing. They can do fine without you. Case in point, they've always done fine without them. They don't need them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
And they made nothing out of nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, I think the Gullah Geechee was the whatever to make rice and shit out here. Right?
Yeah, they were.
And they're the ones that survived the malaria, the fucking mosquito shit.
Yeah.
Because they had the way, they knew how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were part of the founding of America.
Yeah.
Like they're FBA, like straight up. Like
Straight
they're
up.
the true
Yeah.
definition of FBA.
Yeah, but their way is what caused them to survive here too. They know how to take care of the malaria and the mosquitoes and all that shit out there. Right?
Well, they needed us to cultivate the land. Land is useless if you can't cultivate it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but also too,
their history,
there's something about the sickle cell that Lady Che had just mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going back in the memory of my mind to the early 70s. Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
We don't have time for the history lesson because we got to get to the next topic. We got a crumb bomb on Ron the Panties.
Oh, yeah. I always got time for that.
I try to leave room for you to speak, but, you know, I don't like want to hold diatribe, but
just get on it because really, take it out the fact you lost the game on us.
Angie, we're on a time schedule because I'm trying to get this done before TBA and Tariq go on.
Let's go, Jesse, we're waiting.
All right, so the next topic, sorry about that, dysfunction black family. The next topic is woke. What the hell is woke? What it is and what it's not. There's a lot of people seem to be confused on what woke is, and it's something that it's not. So we're gonna give y'all a history lesson on that. And shout out to Black Logic for breaking this whole thing down. If you recall, Shabaka, we did a whole show on woke on both Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced and Frontline Black News, where this white teacher or professor or whatever the fuck she was asked directly to define woke, and she could not do it.
Okay.
So we're gonna do it now.
All right.
And make it very clear what woke is, and it's just synonymous with black, and it comes directly out the black conscious community. And having been part of the black conscious community for over a decade, I would definitely know what the hell woke is and what it's not. And we're going to give y'all an update and refresh course on what woke is and what it's not. And then we're going to crumble them on the panties with his bullshit war on woke. And this is where woke, Florida is where woke goes to die. And all that other bullshit rhetoric that he's spitting down there in Florida. So I'm going to let the video play.
Okay.
Welcome to the war on woke. The definition of woke. Because a lot of term and verbiage inside of it, which is kind of deflecting from the true meaning of woke. So let's go through this very quickly. This won't be long. Woke, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, aware of and actively attentive to important societal factors and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. Family, right off the bat, this definition is absolutely, unequivocally wrong as soon as they use the word and social justice. The term woke was never to be used in a social manner, dealing with people's right to identify as anything and any sex, or things that occur in capitalism or socialism, none of those things.
Right.
It was essentially being aware and attentive and actively attentive to the racial issues in America when it deals with black people, because not only was it created by us and we coined this. So when you hear, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, use the term woke, they're saying to black people, we are anti-woke, we want to stop woke, and that's why people like Ron DeSantis created the Stop Woke Act, the Stop Black People Act. Because here's the thing, if your people had created a certain thing, and then the white racist GOP uses that term to target black folk, as well as the Democrats. See, the Democrats have slutted out the word. They had stretched the word. They have been using this word, and the GOP is just attacking it. But again, this is all anti-black. Let me move on. Woke, according to the Urban Dictionary, and it states here, this term became popularized initially. The meaning of this term was when an individual became more aware of the social injustice, which is, when we talk about social injustice, you can group in a lot of other things. When a person became aware of the anti-blackness in America, that is what woke simply is, right? Then it says, or basically any current affairs related like bias, discrimination, or double standards. No, that is the definition. When someone came inertly aware and actively attentive of bias, discriminatory acts, and racism in the system of white supremacy and anti-blackness in the United States of America. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with social injustice, because that encompasses and that engroups everybody. This is a term that was created and coined by black folk. Let's go a little deeper. According to USA Today, what is the meaning of woke once a term used by black Americans is now a rallying cry for GOP? So anytime I see that and they don't include the Democrats, I automatically know what this person is right here, and we can see the name, I'll move on. It states, during the 2022 Conservative Political Action Conference, speaker after speaker attacked woke ideology. Nobody knows what it is, right? In their speeches to conservative activists, Republicans presidential candidate Nikki Haley decried wokeness as a virus. No, we have all these terms, wokeness, the woke virus, wokeism, all these terms that the Democrats and GOP, mostly the GOP on this one, had created, and also critical race theory. All of these terms, all of these amalgamations, all these different
Brother Che, could I make a comment?
Woke, that
right fast.
back in the 1930s.
Go for it. I guess I'm running the show right now.
Okay, yeah, good.
Good.
Oh, okay. All right, anyway, I'm looking at this article right here out of USA during the 2023 Conservative Political Action Conference. speaker after speaker attacked woke ideology in their speeches to conservative activists. Nikki Haley decried wokeness as a virus more dangerous than any pandemic, hands down. Ramen salami, ramen noodles. I traveled the country calling out the woke industrial complex in America. Hey, Vivek Ramen Salami, check this out, punk. Why don't you call into Shabaka's Black Experience Enhance at 516-418-5996? And I would love to humiliate your ass on air because you do not know what the hell that you are talking about, punk. Okay? And then also, too, Salami, is that you are a supporter of the dump as in human shit. And I want to make that perfectly clear. And then Ron, the panties, and I'm calling you a transvestite, saying that you wear women's underwear. And any of you no good, dirty bastards are welcome to call in to Shabaka's Black Experience and Enhance. And the number, if it's 516-418-5996. Call in if you dare. And if you don't, that did just confirm everything that I said about each and every one of your sorry, stinking asses. Sorry, Lady Chair, I had to get that one in there, man.
And fuck Nikki Haley. Dude, look at Nikki Haley. Does she look even widely awake half the time, let alone conscious of anything other than her fucking blatant fucking privileged ass fucking pink skin? I think not. You know what I mean? And fucking oh boy, fucking ramen noodle fucking whatever the fuck his name is. That motherfucker's a straight motherfucking a straight motherfucking ramen motherfucking anchor baby. And he really ain't got no place to tell anybody anything. Especially when it comes to reparations. How the fuck is an anchor baby gonna tell us anything? You know, don't let the shade reflect the message.
Okay, well, ma'am, you said it perfectly in your analogy when it comes to these men calling themselves women. So when was their last menstrual cycle? You see what I'm saying? And what happened? See, so this is the type of idiocy that is becoming normal today. Because, see, all these abnormal, brain-dead individuals that's coming up here trying to perpetuate this bullshit as normal. And it's not.
Yeah, and real quick, you know, as soon as everybody comes to an understanding real fast that this is the 2023 and the last couple of years or whatever, that this weird shit has been allowed to happen. We've been living in their land of fucking makeshift imagination. And and not only have you been living in it, you've been paying into it and allowing it to happen. So now that, you know, everybody's starting to get a little fed up. They really only have themselves to blame for this shit. Because this is, I mean, like, how are you going to allow fiction to, you know, create legislation? It's not factual. Right. This is fictional creatures. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like make believe fucking atrocities. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, I'm not this, I'm that. I feel like this, but I vote like that. You know, like, come on, man. Like, I'm the last. I feel like 1980s, like the last of, you know, like I'm Generation X. We're like the last of the let's keep it very honest type of shit. And social media wasn't in our fucking, you know, it wasn't out there. We went outside, you know. So this is fucking crazy to me. All this shit right here is just propagated fucking programming. Been paid into it, right? And it's for their entertainment, and nobody wants to get mad and want to do this and that. But I would be thoroughly upset if I was living in my reality. Like, I'm a realistic motherfucker, and I'm telling you, I'm mad. I don't understand why nobody's not mad, and we're just so passive. It's okay. Let them do whatever, man. If y'all sisters ain't upset with these motherfuckers wearing lace fronts and got beards and shit, trying to tell you that you ain't pretty, or that you're not a woman, or that you're just a breeder, and I don't know what else. Right? Then you really have enabled this bullshit to happen. You know, so it's, you can't get mad. You can't get mad and try to stand up for them, because secretly they've been plotting on your fucking essence for a minute. and they're disrespecting their own goddamn mama. Because at the end of the day, we all come out of a woman.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying?
And like I said too, Shabaka, yesterday, I asked Jesse, doesn't the man, when the man, push the seat on, doesn't the man predict or dictate the gender or the sex, gender of the baby?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. From what I understand about basic biology, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that is correct.
So you disrespecting your own damn father. If your father wanted you to, he willed it in the world for you to come out as a boy. He meant you to be a boy. If he wanted you to be a girl, he would have willed that.
Right.
You know what I mean? He didn't will that. So not only are you disrespecting genetics, the will of the father who pushed you in the world, right? And you disrespecting the mother, the vessel who warmed you up in the oven, cooked you for 9 months, and brought you in here. You disrespecting the universe and the divine rule. So you just a fucking miscreant, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Fuck what you mean. That's a miscreant.
You're right. You'll get no argument from me on that. You know what I'm saying? And then the cold part about it is that they're trying to normalize this insanity. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they really are. They're trying to normalize this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then the cold part about it is...
Jesse said we got to move to the video again because we're on a time schedule before podcast diet starts at 6. So we're trying to get through it.
Okay, so what's our
we're almost done. We're almost done with this video. Well, I hope. Shit. You want to play the whole video? All right, okay, fuck it. We gotta play the whole video.
Our ancestors created to have our people to be woke of the situations in which we are. We must go back of the racial bias and discriminatory and double standards of anti-blackness here in America. That is the term woke. There has nothing to do with LGBT, has nothing to do with capitalism. It simply has to do with anti-blackness here in America. I'll move on though. It states that Republicans have declared war on woke capitalism. They're now using this word in every iteration in the very fabric of America, which makes no sense because the term woke doesn't mean any of these things. And even introduced legislation like the Stop Woke Act in Florida, an acronym for Stop the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees. So now they're saying that the term woke that gave Black people a sense of empowerment of knowing the situations in which we live, of the bias, discriminatory, and racist acts of this country, has now been slutted out to everything else. Now we're talking and grouping in, Stop Woke Act because things occurring to our kids because of woke. Because of Black people waking up, because of Black people understanding this discriminatory system, whether it be Democrat or Republican. That's what you're talking about? You're talking about the racial bias in this country? Is that what you're talking about? Because all these other things they're grouping in family has nothing to do with the organic definition of woke, okay? I'll skip down here a little bit. The uptick on exonerating woke ideology has increased in recent years among politicians, including former President Donald Trump, as Americans across the nation battle over diversity, inclusion, and equity efforts in the workforce. Okay, moving right along. Let's go down here a little bit. Woke capitalism. While Republicans aren't winning over investors in war against ESG and woke big business, family, are you seeing a repeatance here? Are you seeing this being very repetitive, how they keep using the term woke? And they're making the term woke evil, but the white supremacists know they're talking about Black folk, right? Because there's no secret where the term woke came from. There's no secret who created the term woke, who actually gave it this different definition of being attentive, being actively attentive and aware of the environment and the social construct of the anti-Black narrative that these politicians on the left and the right, the donkey and the elephant, the red and the blue, have used in order to demonize Black folk. It says here, but Black Americans have used the term woke since at least the early to mid 20th century.
to mean an alert to racial issues. Again, even the author used social injustice. Again, when you say social injustice, I know they're talking about the environment, but I want to keep it very concentrated. I want to keep it very direct. It's about race.
Right.
It's about you being Black. It's about being discriminatory. It's about being biased. It's about having implicit bias and giving excuses to those who use it. This is about the system of white supremacy and how it operates and can be right on both sides of the fence and change the definition and terms and everybody socially accepted. Because I hear Black folk even use the term woke 1000% incorrectly. Now, when we talk about the etymology of words, the root word itself in the first original definition of woke, right? Awaken, okay, being eyes open essentially. That's what we're referring to. It states here a version of the term was first used by Pan-African Marcus Garvey as early as 1923. It was later popularized by blues artists such as Lee Belly, who used it when singing about the Scottish. No, that's Lead Belly, Mr. Speaker, not Lee Belly, Lead Belly. Falsely accused of raping two white women. Where's Dr. Umar Johnson when you need him? On a train in Northeast Alabama in 1931. As the BLM movement began after police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson in 2014, woke expanded outside of Black communities into the larger public lexicon. That means inside of the larger public social language, vernacular, vocabulary, okay? When they're talking about lexicon. What about stay woke? Black artists and entertainers continue to insert the phrase in their music, including Grammy award-winning artist Erykah Badu and Childish Gambino, right? Because Erykah Badu had the woke song, and Childish Gambino had that "Stay Woke." I don't know the words, but anyway, you know what song I'm talking about. But here's a little piece here I think you guys may find interesting. It says, "Yet woke has now been hijacked by the political right to mean something far from its original definition." And when they talk about the political right, they're referring to the Republicans, but I'm telling you, family, it's both the Republicans and the Democrats, okay? The reason why we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now, which is finding very insidious ways to undercut our rights, said Terry Gibbons, a political science professional at McGill University. Gibbons called the attacks on the term a full-on dog whistle and pointed to attempts to limit the right to vote, curtail reproductive and abortion rights, and ban inclusive education in schools as examples of the backlash against Black and brown civil rights. Family, as I told you before, can we go back to who wrote this article? As you're now seeing, even in the someone trying to explain what woke is and what woke isn't. Aren't you guys noticing something here? Let me go back to the author. Here's the author, family. Mabaniti, I don't even know how to pronounce the name, but I'm going to go off on a limb. I didn't do my research. That's my disclaimer. I'm going to go off on a limb, and I'm going to tell you that I don't believe she's a foundational Black American. She's definitely not a foundational Black American. Let me go back now. Right? Again, the reason we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now. Okay? Just remember this sentence right here. The reason why we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now. It goes on to say that is a full-on dog whistle and pointing to attempts to limit the right to vote. Woke has nothing to do with voting directly. It has nothing to do with reproductive and abortion rights. Again, this term was created back in the 1920s, became more popularized in the 1930s, and then revisited the scene during the Ferguson riots, okay? So when we look at this, family, it had nothing to do with none of these things. It had everything to do with discrimination and racism, about being woke and the discriminatory acts of this country against Black people, against Black Americans. It had nothing to do with necessarily voting, okay, we were always fighting for the right to vote, but we didn't use that term in those regards. We didn't use those terms because of abortion, because people wouldn't really get abortions back in the 1920s and 1930s. So even the author who wrote this, who was a non-foundational Black American, right? But again, they put a face on it, is now mix and matching the term woke with the very same things they accuse the Republicans of using, as well as the Democrats, right? It says that pointing to attempts to limit the right to vote, curtail reproductive and abortion rights, and ban inclusive education in schools as examples of the backlash against who? Black and brown civil rights. Family, listen to me. Listen to me, please. There's no black and brown civil rights, family. During this time and in these references, we're talking about black civil rights. We're not talking about black and brown civil rights. We're absolutely not. And that's when you know that this person who wrote this is a Democratic shield. They're doing the bidding by the way of USA Today in order to write this up.
That's what that is.
To once again fool and trick Black people with the whole Black and Brown coalition of civil rights. No, family, no. Do you think there was a larger mass of Hispanic people here in the 1920s? Well, it wasn't. Do you think there was a larger mass of Hispanic people here in the 1930s? No, it wasn't. Not the 1940s, not the 1950s, not the 1960s. Then we started getting around to the 1970s, and then we started seeing an increase of Hispanic population, but not when this term was created and when this term was coined. So even with this, we have to stay focused, family. We have to understand how these political parties are doing and saying